Hey everybody, I hate weeds. My name's Kevin. In today's video, I'm going to show you a little bit about how we take care of weeds out in our garden, especially on the perimeter of our garden, where they get really thick, they get vigorous. That the weed pressure there is insane. If you're like me, you love growing plants, but you hate the weeds. So in today's video, we're going to talk all about how we deal with it here. Let's go take a look. So things are growing great here. It's early spring, early May. We're getting after it. It's been a busy time of the year. And so right now I don't want to wait, and I want to encourage you, if you're gardening and growing, to consider taking care of the weeds before they become an issue. Here you can see I got down some black plastic, which I'll pull up here in just a moment, but I wanted to show you what the reason why we did it. This is the perimeter of our garden. And inside the garden, we do pretty good about keeping it weeded. And even though there's always, they always pop up, but you just take care of them as you can. And so we're adding mulch and compost and doing all that. But over here, on the orchard side of our garden, it gets really thick. I don't know, we have a mixture of, right now you see the foxtails coming up, clover, but we had nut sedge, we had Bermuda grass, and you can see it was just creeping towards our garden right here. And we can all dig it out by hand, but there's such a big swath, and the area gets a good amount of sun with a little bit of moisture from the trees getting irrigated, as well as the vegetable garden. You can see the snapdragons are just looking phenomenal. But I didn't want to spray. Obviously, everything out here is organic. I really encourage you not to use sprays whenever you can. It's just so much better for us, I feel like. And so in here, let's take a look. So we've been solarizing this. What I did is I weed whacked it down, because the weeds were probably maybe up past my ankle, maybe 6 to 8 inches tall. Like you can see, I've even been weed trimming over here. So it was actually pretty thick with weeds, like I said, and they were making their way to this vegetable side. And so what we did is I weed whacked it all down, I trimmed it, and we've actually had it covered with this black plastic for about 4 weeks now. We've had a mixture of warm weather up in 70s, 80s. I think we had one day into the 90s, but most of it has actually been relatively cool these last few weeks. So let's take a look. You can see, get out of my own light. You can see some of the Bermuda grass right here is trying to survive. It's trying to grow. It's pushing out whatever stored energy it had in its rhizomes there. They're just exhausted. And if you ever pulled these before, sometimes they can be pretty difficult to hand remove. You got to dig them out and pull them out, and they're really so good at coming back. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna, basically I'm gonna weed trim these down. I'm even gonna get in here and kind of shred them up with my hula hoe to try to slice and dice anything that's growing. You can see a little bit, probably had a little bit of sunlight coming in. But what's nice is you can see the plants are super weak right now. Let me pull back this plastic a little bit more. So you can see the plants, even for about 4 weeks of solarizing, they're still trying. Now, compared to where I started, I probably should have got film before shot, but it basically looked just like this. Really thick patches of weeds. Like I said, a mixture of nut sedge, Bermuda grass, and they were growing very densely. We had a little bit of rain come in, so you can see the water all over the plastic. We've had some rain these past few days. Just a little bit, and so this is actually doing pretty good. And so what I'll probably do is I'll probably pull this black plastic off, I'll weed trim this all down, and then I'll put it back on for another few weeks, kind of force out some of this growth again, make them try to grow again and push, because it's warm. They think it's warm enough to grow, but it's really going to start getting super hot under there as the weather cranks up. The solarization part of it really plays a big part. Now, some people will use clear plastic. That's totally fine. I'm kind of using the smothering technique right now of not letting too much light get through with the black plastic, and it also heats up as well. And so it's been pretty good. So what we're gonna do, like I said, what I would recommend right now is pull the black plastic back temporarily, trim this all down again. You can even get in there with a hula hoe and kind of shred it up a little bit if you want. If not, if you're into you don't want to put too much effort out, then just leave it covered. The longer the time, the more effective it's gonna be. But for me, I kind of want this gone as soon as I can, because I don't like the way it looks out in the garden. We have visitors and all the time, so I just want to make sure it looks nice. But this has been super effective, in my opinion, at really getting these weeds under control. You can see they're still trying to survive. But if we keep them covered, I think they're really going to be starved of sunlight. So plants need, they need air, they need water, they need sunlight to grow. And so if we starve them of that sunlight and push them into temperature ranges that don't really make them happy, we can really fry these plants. And like I said, you can really just see they're pretty much, even though they're kind of alive, a lot of them are just fried. They are just, they're so, you can literally just touch them and they just come right out of the soil. Even some of the rhizomes that are left behind, you can see they're just really weak and they're emaciated and they're kind of just getting deflated. And so we're just going to continue on, like I said, and I think the process is working. If you have a big patch of weeds that you've battled with every season, especially your walkways, your perimeters, or big areas like this, it can be really helpful to solarize or smother. People use different techniques and tactics, but I'm telling you, if you don't want to be breaking your back and hurting yourself all the time, I'm telling you, it really makes a big effect. You know, the insects go crazy. They love it. You can see that spider in there and all the creatures. They love a nice temporary home, but you can see it's really fried these plants, and they're pushing. You can see they can't really grow that well. They're pushing out the energy they have stored, but there's just no sunlight for them to really rejuvenate themselves and produce their own food and photosynthesize. So it's a matter of time. We'll give them a few more weeks as needed, but I'm really excited with the results, but because you can actually see a lot of the dead material in here kind of piling up, which is fantastic, because this was so thick. It was so thick just a few weeks ago, and all I did was weed trim it down a little shorter, cover it up, hold it down with bricks, and then just give it some time. So I'm telling you, solarizing, smothering, whatever you want to call it, it works. It's super effective and a very, very, I guess, efficient way of taking care of it. I know some people, I love, you know, there's something satisfying about pulling a weed out by hand, but there's also something oddly satisfying about doing a little less effort on a larger scale and then watching all these weeds just kind of just, you know, peter out and just run out of energy and the will to live. So it's just been really effective for us. And what we end up with is a beautiful, healthy garden. Now these won't be creeping into the garden and taking over for the summer. If we didn't do anything, we'd be battling it all through spring and into the summer. So right now, early spring, as the temperatures kind of start to tick up, I'm telling you folks, this is the best time to deal with your weeds. Don't wait till it becomes a huge problem. This is like an ounce of prevention's worth a ton of cure kind of situation. And I'm telling you, a little solarization, smotherization, it works wonders. So I'll end it there. Hope, you know, happy gardening to you all. Please never stop growing and come back and visit us again in the near future, because we'd love to have you back. We'll see you in the next one, friends.